How do you organize stock drops? This video today, we're going to talk about stock drops, but what on earth does that mean? Stock, clothing that you sell, drop, the release of that product online. Stock, drop, the release of your product online, or the release of your product in person. Organizing that drop. Let's reverse engineer the whole process. For example, you are dropping 50 graphic t-shirts on the internet. Are you building a Facebook advert? Are you going to do some Instagram and TikTok content? Are you going to send some stuff for an influencer? Are you going to do email marketing? Are you going to create banners? Or are you going to do some live stream event or some other way of collaborated scheme? Either way, that reverse engineered idea and approach needs to come with an intention behind that drop that you're going to do. So say, for example, you've got the 50 graphic t-shirts and you want to organize a way to do a stock drop. Reverse engineering helped me to understand how much time I needed to build this up. For example, if you tell people that you're dropping 50 t-shirts tomorrow, you've given people a 24-hour window to understand whether that's something that they want to consider investing with. And a lot of the time, stock drops that people have is relatable to what they know about what you've dropped before. So if this is your first stock drop you're doing, you probably want to go with something that's maintainable, but also creates a good sort of reaction. A lot of what I did was just using Instagram to pioneer that suspense, probably a week to 2 weeks before we would announce things such as stock drops. But what I would do with them is I would collate them based on a category, based on a mood, based on a feel. So t-shirts, boyfriend shirts, dead stock champion, certain different ones. We did so many over the time. And a lot of what I did was using Instagram, using social media content, using visual video aids and concepts to help build that stock drop, to help push that. But that is only one part of the organization. I think the best place to start with this is the end. Start with when you actually want this drop to go live. So let's go with the 50 graphic tees analogy, right? Say you want them to go live on May the 15th. How are you gonna make that a reality? Go back on the processes and look at how that works. So you might wanna just shoot 50 products on the floor, but you wanna create a cool video. You need to kind of understand how long that process is gonna take to do. Reverse engineering all your processes just allows you to see whether the forecast you have for when you wanna drop it is gonna be realistic with what you've got to do. Now, when we was running Gully and I was working with one of the people who worked with me on creating all the stock drops, we used to do a new theme every month for quite a while, and what it would be is creating a video, creating editorial photos, sorting out a photographer, sorting out the models, organizing all this structure. So my systems for stock drop would typically be the same. Announce it through Instagram once I'd already organized the shoot with the models. So I would have done the shoot with the models and had all that system worked out and done. And then once that had been complete, we would post those photos a week to 2 weeks before, create the suspense, create an interest feel for it, even though we'd already done it. Now, a lot of people might pussyfoot around things and go, I need to know if there's a demand before I'm going to put my time and effort into building this. But what my approach was build it and they will come. That was the philosophy I lived by. Build a system, create it, put it out to the world, be confident that what you've made is something that people will be interested by, and then hope for the best. And I mean, it worked for me because I guess I just was very invested in everything I did. One thing that helped me organize the stock drops was basically reverse engineering when I wanted everything to go out. You have to put a date on things in order to work backwards rather than going, I'm gonna do this next month, I'm gonna do this in the next couple of weeks. Say a date and watch how quickly you figure out a system to get to that date. Think about things like dissertations. How many people do you know leave it for the last month and they'll go clog, 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 clump, 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 cram, 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 whatever word it is to get as much in as possible, but they get it done because that date at the end tells them that if they go past that, I know that with your own stock drops, you can create your own system where you go, I could go a few days after it, but you have to work on a discipline for your own system. Disciplining the stock drop date that you want in order to reverse engineer the system is step one. Step two is understanding all the little aspects that you need to do. What is it you're dropping? Are you using models or flat lays? Do you need photographers? Are you going to be using space and location for your shoots? Do you need TikTok? Is it going to require an Instagram influencer? Are you going to be doing anything in particular that's going to create that buzz, that's going to create the snowball for the momentum for the stock drop? You could say I was fortunate because I had a big following that allowed me to snowball ideas anyway, but that was built up from this concept that I'd had to do anyway. I didn't start with 100,000 followers. I had to go from zero as well, build it up over the years. And it took about 2.5 years to get 10,000 followers, and I think about 4 years to get 100,000. So it quite quickly snowballed. When we come back to organizing a stock drop, and assuming that that is something you want to do, like some people might just upload products to the internet and go, I like the variety, I like that. If that's the case, this video might not be for you. Organizing a stock drop, I would say the first sort of preliminary thing you need to do is put a date in place and say that's the date that it's coming out, and work backwards on everything. At least then if you went, I need an extra week because this isn't practical, then you can even learn from that and go, okay, I need to understand how to plan and strategize these things better because I'm a week behind or I've missed a week in terms of all the preparation. So you learn those lessons by applying this point anyway. Once you've planted the date and then you've reverse engineered the idea and you look at all the processes, you can kind of create that blueprint for that drop you're doing. The models, the posts, all the sort of content, all the sort of subject matter that you need, you can look at that whole system. Organizing stock drops in a way that is relatable to people would be just to go by seasonal or go by actual events. How many vintage boutiques and vintage sellers will start selling football shirts in the next couple of weeks? How many people will start pushing their festival wear? How many people will start selling patterned shirts? All of these new things will start to click into gear very quickly. Do you see it on the fast fashion brands first and then the vintage page? Who knows? But most people know that at the start of April, you're probably thinking about festivals. At the start of May, you're already into the full effect of the festivals. The football stuff's coming out, Euros are going on, and that's what things are built up on. Stock drops are built up on what people are either missing or what people are either looking for. If you're dropping something that people haven't seen before, you can work on it at any time you want, assuming it's something that you would want to wear based on the time of year that you're dropping it. For example, if you did 50 graphic t-shirts now at the start of May or at the end of April, this is relevant for the time. You're ahead of the season for when it's going to get warm. But if you dropped this in January and you did 50 t-shirts in January, it might not be very relatable to people within the UK because they think, well, I'm not going to wear a t-shirt now. We do get complex with this though, because you could actually do a stock drop of t-shirts in January and advertise it for the sort of underlayer for your winter stuff. And this is where the sort of 3 dimensions of the way you think about things goes on. Because I think that you could drop any type of clothing at any type of year. To sort of simplify that process and not overcomplicate you with something that you don't need, feel free to drop a comment if you want me to explore that more, and I will. Organising stock drops. If this is something you do on your platform, if you have set things that you want to do, if you want to drop your Carhartt jackets, if you want to drop your set North Face puffers, if you want to drop your t-shirts, your festival jackets, you want to create a system. Also, just a quick tip, if you ever do stock drops, try and do things less than 50 of the same product, because there is an element of people seeing too much. One thing I noticed from doing lots of items up at once is that if people have too many options, it actually is to your detriment as a seller, because people get overwhelmed with too many options. Whereas if there's that feel of a limited supply, people will feel like they have to buy now. If you're like, I've got 150 of these dropping, someone will go, oh, 150, I can leave it 2 weeks and there'll probably still be 120 left. Create exclusivity through the stock drop, but make sure that you understand the date that you're setting it up for, that you reverse engineer the whole process, you understand this blueprint that you're creating for this date that's coming up soon, and just go with that and let me know how you get on. And if you want to kind of talk to me directly about this, I do work with strategies via a consultancy, 30 minutes or 60 minutes you can book me in, or a couple hours a month on some sort of one-to-one mentoring where we can kind of help see which way you go. Feel free to drop me a message down one of those links down below in the description. Stay safe, sustainable, keep doing you, keep working on your brands, and if you're not, and if you're just curious by the idea of it, keep being curious and see where that takes you. Lots of love. I'll see you tomorrow at 6:30.